there's so many messed up things that just happened one after the other in rapid succession, you know, like so crazy that you kind of can't really take it seriously, and that's the kind of crazy I like. So I'm really liking it so far. Hello everyone, it's Luli, and today I'm going to be doing a first impressions video on the Otome game Even If Tempest. Now this game is by Voltage Inc. It was recently released for the Switch and everyone has been really hyped over it and been talking about it, and yeah, it's all very exciting. But I thought, you know, it'd be fun to do a first impressions video talking about, you know, what I have played so far, how I feel about it. I have so far played about 3 to 4 hours worth, so this video will be kind of talking about the common route and how I feel about the characters now that I've finished the common route. So, you know, this isn't really your usual non-spoiler video because I will be talking about what happens in the common route and, you know, my thoughts attached to it. So if you're sensitive, you don't want to know anything about the game, you know, you want to experience the common route for yourself, then I would swiftly move on. And also, if you like visual novels, if you like 2D guys, and if you just like fangirling over Otome games, then you come to the right place because I upload once a week, sometimes twice, and I stream quite regularly. So if that's something you're interested in, then please click that subscribe button and the bell button, and I promise you won't regret it. But anyway, let me start. So first up, what is Even If Tempest like? Now this game is about this girl Anastasia. She is the daughter of a Marquess. However, now the problem is, she's the daughter of the first wife who actually dies, passes away. And of course, you know, you've got the horrible evil witch of a stepmother, Evelina, who comes into play. And of course, she, you know, hides Anastasia away in the attic, and, you know, imprisons her there almost to the extent Anastasia can't even really speak properly. Like, that's how bad it is. And it's like she has no one who, you know, is on her side, and it's just, it's really quite horrible. And then you've got this angelic Orla, her stepsister. Now, the moment she appears, I was like, she is suspicious. And oh, how correct I was. My god, so Orla, she seems really nice at the beginning to Anastasia, right? She like brings her food and stuff, but she's actually really horrible. And can I just say, this game is very good with the crazy faces, like the expressions of craziness that they pull, like the characters pull whenever they go a bit mental. It's really quite good, and I was quite pleased with it. But yeah, so you firstly got Evelina, the stepmother, who's mean. Then you've got Orla, the stepsister, who is also mean. And you've got the father, who's basically like a simp of Evelina. It's just... And yeah, so as you can tell, Anastasia has no one on her side. But one day, basically the prince comes along, or one of the royalties come along and say, you know, they want Anastasia to marry Conrad, the eldest prince. And yeah, so that happens, and then Orla, of course, tries to prevent her from seeing the person who came along, and so does Evelina, and there's all this like chaos, as you'd expect. And however, Anastasia kind of has this moment and decides to run away, and she escapes the attic and encounters Lucien, one of the love interests. And, you know, my first impression when I looked at him was, he looks kind of weak. But in the scene, he's very admirable. Like, he kind of goes, what's going on here? And then he learns of the situation, and then he kind of almost like rescues Anastasia from this horrid house where she's being, you know, imprisoned. And it's really sweet, I'm not gonna lie, it's really sweet. And my, you know, image of Lucien did increase there. Like, initially I was like, he's okay, and then after that I was like, you're cute. So yes, my impression of him changed there, but he takes her away and brings her to the castle where she meets Conrad and Parker. Parker being the second eldest. So you've got Conrad, who's the eldest, then you've got Parker, who has cheeks like mochi. Initially I thought Parker was Conrad, and because the thing is, when they describe Conrad, they really they make him out to sound way too good to be true. And in my Discord exclusive stream, I was like, okay, Conrad is too good to be true. Either he is gay, so we can't have him, or there's something wrong with him. So it's one or the other. We either can't have him or there's something wrong with him. And but yeah, and then we saw Parker and I was like, okay, that would explain it. But no, Parker is the second eldest, and then Lucien is the third, like the youngest child. But Conrad is really good looking, and that's why again I went by my theory of he's gay, so we can't have him, or there's something that's like terribly wrong. It's one or the other. We can't have him, or there's something terribly wrong. That's always what goes in my mind when I see someone attractive in games. But anyway, right from the start, I'm like, Conrad, I do not trust you, because I don't know, it just all seemed too good to be true. And then Anastasia, you know, she blindly believes him. Bearing in mind, Conrad kind of gets her to help him with like some of the accounts, like, you know, taxes and money and stuff, and then tells her like mean things about Lucien. It's all very like suspicious throughout the whole thing. I was like, who is this guy? I don't know, I just don't trust him. And then of course what happens is she learns of some, you know, some glitches in the accounts, like what there should be and what there actually is, and you know, so she questions it. She doesn't question Conrad though. She thinks it's Lucien or like someone else, and it's like, come on Anastasia, use your brain. Anyway, whatever. She sends Maya, her personal maid, to go and, you know, find out what's happened. And I guess you basically find out on the day of the ball that Conrad has decided to murder her personal maid. I know, it just happens so fast. And then she decides to throw herself out of the window to die. I know, it all happens so quickly. I was like, what's going on? Anyway, so she tries to die. Except when she tries to die, I don't know if she actually dies or not, but she ends up in this weird witchy world where she encounters this witch boy called Rune, who tells her that he can help her go back in time. And so she chooses to go back in time to try and rescue Maya. Except, of course, she kind of tells people, oh, this is what's happening to Maya, which then makes everyone think she's a witch. And although Maya is rescued, she then ends up being tried for a witch. And of course, you know, you've got like all these people saying, oh, she did this and like all of that, and she becomes guilty for being a witch and then gets burned and dies. Yeah, I know. It's just like, gosh, this is like the Shu and Nobita first impressions thing again. But anyway, so she ends up coming back to where Rune is in this like weird dimension, and then she has a choice of going back to any time in order to find out who this like witch of the ruin is, to like get rid of them. And so she chooses to go back 8 years, you know, before, like prior to all this happening, back to, I think, when her mother dies, so that then she can escape to avoid being like imprisoned in the attic, but to kind of live her own life. And then she enrolls into being one of the like trainees. So Crius is the vice commander of these knights that are like flying on these bird things. I know, I'm not, Garuda, I think. I know, I'm not very good with terminology. But she ends up working under Crius as like a trainee to become one of these knights. And then so you've got like a little bit of story of her trying to become a knight, and then she ends up becoming a knight, and that's kind of where you end up going down one of the character routes. So that's kind of like the common route. My feel for the game is, wow, like, I don't know, for Voltage, I think, so when I think of Voltage games, I think of, you know, the mobile games that are relatively like straightforward, you know, everything happens very quickly, and it's not like, not that much work has been put into it type of thing. But this game so far is incredibly polished. The music is good. I really sort of like the designs of the characters as well. I think they are more unique than usual. I'm really loving this story. I love how things all go crazy, like everything happens so quickly. It almost felt like a Reddit game where I was like, oh, okay. And I'm expecting much more of that in the future. At least I'm hoping for it anyway, because I just thought there's so many messed up things that just happened one after the other in rapid succession, you know, like so crazy that you kind of can't really take it seriously. And that's the kind of crazy I like. So I'm really liking it so far. If there's one thing that's frustrating, it's that this game has a tendency to crash. Now I don't know if they're going to do work on that and do updates or whatever in the future, but it means that you kind of want to save frequently. So out of the 3 hours I have played, it has only crashed once so far, but you can never be too safe. So I've been like saving every 10 minutes worth of play or so, because I'm a paranoid crazy person. But yeah, that is definitely something to note. But yeah, the game gives off kind of almost like a Reddit feel at times. I'm not sure how the like gameplay mechanics are going to be like yet, because I've only played the common route. But yeah, it's really cool. Now, initially based on looks, the order of which I liked the love interest was, so you had Zenn, then Crius, then Tyril, and then Lucien. So that was kind of like my order. But after meeting them all, so Lucien is the third prince. He looks a little bit like Head in the Clouds. He moved up, I would say. I quite liked him. It's funny because in the first kind of like, I say, basically, before she went back in time, the first timeline, that's the word. The first timeline, he seems like a little bit cowardly, a little bit, you know, a bit like suppressed almost. But then you've got the second timeline where she goes back 8 years, and then, you know, he actually becomes a bit more like strong, and he's given more responsibilities, and yeah, my affection for him definitely improved. Now you've got Zenn, who I can't say for sure yet. He's actually kind of gone down because we haven't had a chance to see him that much. He appears a little bit as kind of like an administrator type person in the first timeline, and then he appears as like a detective or something in the second timeline, but he's very quiet. He doesn't say much, so he feels quite plain. So he has gone down in rank in my mind so far anyway, after the common route. But he is full of mystery, and I'm hoping that he surprises me by, you know, showing what he's actually like, and then we get to see him a bit more. You've got Tyril, the Inquisitor. He has shot up. He's like my favorite now. I am the most interested in him. He seems so crazy in the head, and he seems mean, and he seems like an Otome character, and every time he appears I'm like, I love you so much. So you can tell I really like him as a character. But yeah, he's an Otome character, and I really like him. So he's like shot up. He's like way up there now. And then you've got Crius, who I have probably seen the most of. He gives off like older brother vibes. I would say he kind of maintained his like area, like rank in a way. I think yeah, we learned the most about him out of all of them, I think. He seems like the older brother, like the reliable one that you can trust. Basically like the guy that you would want to go for in real life, if you know what I mean. You've got Tyril, which is kind of like, you know, you'd want to go him in an Otome, because he looks a bit dangerous and a bit dodgy. And then you've got Crius, who, in my opinion, is relatively like, he's reliable, he's good looking, he's awesome, he's like husband material, at least from the common route anyway, he seems like husband material. So yeah, I quite like him, but he has maintained. So I would say Tyril, then Crius, then Lucien, and then Zenn, which is really weird because Zenn's gone from like top to bottom. But I think it's because I haven't had a chance to learn much about him. Yeah. But so that's kind of touching upon the characters. The vibe I get from this game is kind of like, it's kind of, think of Game of Thrones mixed with a bit of Danganronpa maybe, in that you have like these weird trial things, I believe. I haven't got to that bit, but you do kind of see a taster of a witch trial, and it's really freaky because you've got like these people. It's a bit like Phoenix Wright. Like, you know, you've got these people and then they say their account, you know, they describe what they saw and experienced, and then you're like, hey, no, that's not true, or whatever. And I think that's what you end up doing. I'm not sure though, because in the common route you only see like a snippet of it, and I'm not sure if that's how it's going to be like. So yeah, think of Game of Thrones mixed with like Phoenix Wright with some Danganronpa-ness, in that there's this weird like suspiciousness about, you know, wanting to know who the Witch of the Ruin is, because he's gonna, I think, keep on appearing as like people. So I don't know. As I said, I've only played the common route, so I can't really say for sure exactly what, you know, the game is gonna consist of in terms of the gameplay. But like, yeah, think of Game of Thrones where people care a lot about who's gonna become king. Like, you should see Conrad and then Lucien, they all seem to be scheming. Then you got Evelina, who's also scheming. Like, Evelina's like Cersei, which is probably why I like her so much, even though she's so horrible. But yeah, so I really like it. I think I'd recommend it if you like sort of a Western aesthetic, you like fairy tales. It is very much like a fairy tale, especially at the beginning. If you like a female lead that is like really manly and like confident and says what she wants to and is really strong, that sort of thing. And I think so far it's been primarily plot based more than romance. Like, I haven't really seen romance much yet. It's all been quite like what, but then again, as I said, only common routes, so I can't really vouch for that. Now, I would not recommend it to those who are affected quite, like, you know, severely by things like suicide, or, you know, I'll say a couple of trigger warnings in a moment. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to people who want something that is more light-hearted, because this is quite, I can see it's gonna be very dark and messy and kind of gross. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to people who are looking for something fluffy or sort of comedy type. I would also not recommend it to those who want like a girly main character, because she very much is, you know, the type of protagonist that fights for herself and can defend herself and is really strong, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think kind of like, you know, shortly put, that is it. Now, as for trigger warnings, I would say, you know, since she does kind of throw herself out of the window, at one point that is a trigger warning. Abuse from, you know, parents is probably another one, because right at the beginning she's in an attic and she's kind of, she isn't treated very well. She isn't able to eat nice things. Then you've got lots of gore. So there's a moment when, you know, she gets caught by one of the, I don't know what happened there, but she gets caught by like this really creepy clown thing. It's kind of, it was a jump scare, in fact. It was really weird. Like, this clown thing appears and then is like, gah, and you're like, whoa, what just happened? Like, okay, not that severe. It's not like Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's just really, I don't know, like, I think the sudden change in the sprite with the noise made it feel almost like a jump scare, and then it describes how that thing killed Anastasia. So, you know, that's definitely another trigger warning. Clowns and descriptions of, you know, murder and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that sums up. I know that I'm making this game sound lovely, aren't I? But anyway, I think that's even of Tempest in a nutshell, at least in the common route so far anyway. Hopefully this was of some use in helping you decide whether this may potentially be the game for you. As I said, this is all based on the first 3 hours that I have played, so you know, my opinions may change. I will be doing a review video once I complete the game, so look forward to that. But yeah, I think that is it. As is always the case, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and hopefully I'll see you in another one of my videos. Bye!